Hey folks, this is Alyssa from the Blueprint for Success column in the Mind Your Money 2020 series. And this is part 3, where we're going to talk about how you pay yourself. Now, in the written column, you saw that I think it's a good idea to make this a ritualized task, either weekly or every other week, or maybe once a month, but I kind of prefer every other week to keep it really consistent and familiar, and set up a system and decide how you're going to figure out how much you pay yourself. And we're going to demonstrate two methods. The flat number method, kind of based on your average income and your average expenses, or a percentage method of how much money you take in. So just a reminder that gross income is the total amount of money that you take into your massage business, providing massage or selling products. And your owner's draw is the portion of that that you actually take home to pay your mortgage and feed your kids. So it's really important to understand that gross income can be a great goal. Setting a number can be fabulous, but the owner's draw is what you actually have to live on if you're dependent on your massage income, or it's the amount that you contribute to your household if you share household expenses with someone. So let's jump into this spreadsheet. And the first thing I want to show you is that you're going to have access to this spreadsheet. You can go to abmp.com/money and see column 3 to get access to this spreadsheet. And when you get to it, I want you to make it yours. And you can do that by clicking on File and Make a Copy. And Google Drive is going to let you make your very own copy. You can name it whatever you want and just hit OK and save that, and it'll save in your Google Drive. And then you can make any edits and mess around with it and make it yours. You can also just do this with a paper and pen and a calculator, and that's fine too. But for the demonstration purposes, a spreadsheet works really well. So you'll see that there's 2 pages on this spreadsheet, the consistent pay page and the percentage pay page, because I'm going to demonstrate and kind of talk through both of those options. There is no one perfect option for anyone or for everyone. I use a combination of flat and percent numbers, and let's just kind of show you a little bit about how they can work. Now, this gross income is based on a part-time massage therapist. So maybe someone who does like 8 massages a week in January, charges $100 each, and it comes out to be 32 massages or $3,200. I understand numbers aren't always this clean and even, but let's just roll with this for now. I've decided that this person wants to take home their part-time income of $1,200 a month. They know that every quarter they have to pay their estimated tax bill. That's around $2,080. So they've broken that up so that every month they set aside $520 so that when that quarterly tax bill is due, they've got that money saved up. They also know that they want to contribute $250 a month to their retirement. Good job. And what's left for expenses is $1,230. Now, I've just guesstimated some general business expenses. Of course, everyone's is going to look different here. They've got rent and phone and a bunch of different things. You can play with the spreadsheet yourself. And on this particular month, their expenses came to about $590, and that leaves them with $600 extra. So January is a busy month. The trick here is to just leave that $600 there, or throw it into a savings account if that's what you need to do to keep your hands off of it, because we're going to have some slimmer months coming up and we're going to need that money to cover the difference. So let's look at February. Did 1 or 2 less massages, made a little bit less money. So $1,130 is left for expenses. And then they had to pay their accounting bill to have their tax prep done. So there's only $321 extra. Set that aside, don't touch it, because we got some lean months coming up here. So let's say in March they made $2,700. It's a little bit slower. They had to take a couple of days off to cover a kid's vacation or something. What's left? $730. And they had to pay some other bills. They went to a continuing education class. So that means that they're actually in the hole for $156. Their expenses were more than what they had to cover the expenses. But that's okay, because we got like $900 from our previous bigger months hanging out, and this gets covered. And I showed as if April was a very lean month as well, but they're still taking home that same amount, setting aside that same amount for taxes, planning for their retirement. They're paying themselves first. And because they have been just leaving that extra that's set aside, they can totally cover this $200 loss. Now, obviously, if every month after this was a lower earning month, they'd have to make some adjustments, maybe cut some expenses, maybe reduce their owner's draw a little bit. But I would really encourage you to get hardcore about reducing your expenses and getting your calendar full to cover those expenses versus cutting your own pay. Cutting your own pay can kind of stink. So let's look at what a percentage pay option looks like. So we'll click to the other page of this spreadsheet. In this example, we've kept the gross income the same as the previous flat pay example. And this business owner has looked at their last several months of income and expenses and kind of guesstimated that they can take a draw of 45% and set aside about 20% for taxes and 10% for retirement and still have enough left, 25% of that gross income, to cover their expenses. In January, just like the previous example, they made $3,200 and it breaks down to paying themselves about $1,400, and they set aside their taxes and retirement, and they've got $800 left for expenses. Now, all of these expenses are the same as the last example. And let's just kind of skip to looking. Now, what's left for savings? Now, in January, they've only saved about $200. And you'll notice February, March, and April, there's a deficit here. So what we learned from this example is that cash flow management, especially if you do a percentage method, needs to be flexible. Because when they run short in February, March, and April, they haven't saved enough to cover those expenses. And I use this example because this happened to me. When I first started using a percentage system, I wasn't setting aside enough for expenses. I thought I could operate my business when I was alone in my office and only be paying like 30% of my gross income towards my expenses, and that did not cover it. Once I bumped it up to about 35 or 37%, it worked for me. But I also had to think through, do I want to cut my expenses, which at that point I couldn't do anymore, or do I want to take home less money? And I really didn't want to do that. So it pushed me to fill my schedule and look at other ways that I could make money, maybe sharing my office space or selling some retail product. But I love both of these methods because you pay yourself first what you feel like you need to be taking home for all the hard work you do, and then you get flexible with the rest. I hope this has helped to demonstrate a couple of different how you pay yourself methods. You might do something completely different that works for you, but I really wanted to show how there can be a system, and it can be a flexible cash flow management system so that you feel really good and not restricted, and you feel great about how much money you're taking home from your business. Hope this helps. If you need anything else, you can find us at abmp.com/money.